Hello and welcome back to my channel, and we rejoin our characters. They are just about to enter the ruined temple of Darkwater Lake. The atmosphere is building, the tension is growing. They feel a tingle down the back of their spine. There's a strange humming in their ears caused by this dark aura which has manifested itself on the island as soon as they stepped onto it from that treacherous causeway. We're all geared up, ready to go. I have already prepared in advance a little sheet for our characters to proceed with. It is going to be, this has got the pertinent details down in my usual style, where I note the day. So the previous day we had travelled from Marchton to Darkwater Lake. The weather had been fine. We'd had that interesting encounter with the river, the rapid river. And then the next day we'd had an encounter with the Sphinx, the Sphinx, which has to make a reappearance. Such a character, I think it has to make a reappearance at some stage. An intervention for good or ill, we have yet to discover. We kicked off our adventure that day on 7 o'clock, and it took us 2 hours and with rest periods 20 minutes to get across that causeway, where we had quite a number of shenanigans, a few near misses, nothing critical. We did have a bit of a casualty. Tristan at the end, his eye went kind of off the ball a bit, caused by a transformative transmogritation? I can't remember. It's something like that. Basically, a spectral form appeared. So he says. I think Lindris was rather skeptical of the whole thing. And that caused him to lose his footing, and long story short, he lost 1 hit point. And Arian is already carrying a wound. He only had 1 recovered, so he's starting at 13 and Tristan is starting at 8. So it took us to 9:20 to get across the causeway. We then proceeded across the island up towards the gateway. I described the gateway. I think what I'll do is I'll just recap on that gateway first, just to get us back in the mood, so that we're right back in there. We crossed this island, so maybe if I just read these again, just get us back in. It's not going to take too long. So the island, once across the causeway, the party see the silhouette of the largely subterranean temple forming part of a low hill which rises before them. What remains above ground is a blackened ruin, broken and dilapidated. The remainder of the island is covered with short, stunted trees, which have dark leaves and barbed branches. The place radiates an evil aura, which grows in intensity like a distracting humming as the characters carefully approach the ruin. The remains of a paved road heads in the direction of the temple, with occasional flights of steps to accommodate the climb upwards to the summit. At certain points, the characters pass a grotesque statue or symbolic representation of evil. We performed a random monster check when we got within 30 yards, and we did not get our result, so we've not got a random monster encounter outside the ruins. We reached the crumbling grand entrance. The steps end at a massive arching gateway, now heavily cracked and overgrown with dark foliage. Gargoyle-like figures, their faces eroded by time, leer down from crumbling pedestals. The heavy, iron-bound doors are buckled and splintered, one lying half off its hinges, creating a narrow, debris-choked passage into the darkness beyond. The air here has a faint, metallic smell mixed with the scent of damp earth. So we're all set up to descend into the bowels of the earth, another dungeon. And I'm going to be using my exploration mechanic this time, which I outlined in a special session that I had after the main event. I can probably the best way to demonstrate that is to demonstrate it in an actual live. This is not a drill, this is a real simulation. So let's get cracking with the main event. We are at 9:40. We're about to go down the stairs. I've decided to go a bit. I know. My first Dunmorna dungeon, and I was going on about, oh, I just can't be bothered with all this lion paper and whatever. But I got quite a good font on. I used an Excel spreadsheet to do this. And I just got some very light lines, and I think I can live with that because it's not oppressive. It's not. I've used graph paper before, and it just seemed to be old graph paper, and that's all I saw. And I was quite pleased with the result of this. So this is basically us passing the archway, and we go down 30 feet of stairs, and we get into our starting room. This room is completely empty. There's nothing in it. In fact, it's actually almost completely devoid of any, apart from maybe some rubble and debris that is cascaded down these steps. It seems eerily empty. It's very quiet. We've got no dressing, we've got no atmospherics. It's completely silent. In fact, that probably makes it even more kind of disturbing to the characters. They're kind of looking at each other and thinking, "Oh, I don't have kind of Dagobert saying I've got kind of a bad feeling about this." But we are brave. We must proceed. So we do have a choice. We've got a choice of doors. We've got a door ahead of us, a door to the right of us, and a door to the left. So the characters, basically thinking, well, let's go straight ahead and just carry on into the actual, what we assume to be the main body of the ruin. I think we should do that. So the first thing we're going to do is just map that room. So it's going to take us, it's every 20 square feet. So that's an area and that's an area. So that's going to take us 2 turns to map that. So we'll get our turn reckoner here. So Lindris is doing his mapping, so he maps that out. He doesn't really get any kind of tingle of secret doors or anything, so we think, well, we've already got a few doors to choose from. Let's go for these guys. So what we need to do is to prise this door open, we've got to use our strength. So let's get the old strength dice out. So we'll have 3 of us going for it. We'll have, what we'll do is we'll have Anarion further back with his bow ready. He's ready to do anything. We'll have Tristan and Lindris, and we could even have Adalind now, because this is the first time Adalind's been on an adventure with us. We've actually, the 4 of us have been in Dunmorna, but this is a new thing, a new event for Adalind. So Adalind's quite keen to say, stand aside, chaps. This is something down my street. Thinking, well, you're the magic user. You shouldn't really be at the front. She thinks, oh right, okay. But I've got some strength. I think I could put my back into this one. And they say, all right, okay. Seeing it's your first, Adalind. Let's just see what your strength is. I think it is 14 that she's got. I'll have a quick double check. It's probably quite useful to do that on our characters, just to get a quick heads up on the pertinent statistics before we go charging in. So Adalind's strength is, she's a 14. So she, it's the same as Anarion. And Tristan is got the massive strength. He's the 1 to 4 on a d6. Dagobert's a 13 and Lindris is a 13. So I think on the open doors information, 1 to 3. No, you've got to get to a strength of 16 to go up. So it's 1 to 2 for these. So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's find out what happens. So we'll have Adalind's. We'll have. And we'll say, Adalind, I don't think maybe you should do this in future, but I think it's the inaugural door pushing. Let's all do it together. So we'll have Adeline first. She's a 1 to 2, so she doesn't. We'll have Lindris. He's a 1 to 2. Ooh, Lindris manages to do it, and Tristan. Yep. So both Tristan and Lindris managed to shove the door. So I will say, because the two of them have done it, and we've done it quite effectively, and we could probably get the element of surprise if there's something on the other side, or have a good chance of having surprise and not have this constant banging going on. Dagobert has got his trusty lantern lit. He likes that role. He likes the bringer of light, the light of Bane. He is the guardian of that light, so he has an intrinsic role, and he always says, you know, I'm doing a kind of man management thing here. I'm doing the kind of leadership role. You know, I need to organize you, so I need to have an overview of what's going on. So, you know, and having the lantern gives me the source of light. Lindris has got Dark Slayer out. He's drawn Dark Slayer. Dark Slayer gives off 20 feet of illumination, a kind of eerie blue light. But you know, Dagobert has the pure white light of Bane. So this room basically is illuminated, and we'll be able to illuminate into here. So what we need to do is a beyond the door check. So we'll get our Dungeon Master's guide out and find out what is beyond the door. And also, first introduction of my temple mechanic, my temple rules. We will get to roll for a theme, and we'll get to roll for atmosphere. So let's just go nice and slow. Do it one step at a time. Don't go rushing into anything. This is the first one we've done, so we just need to go nice and slow. If you will indulge me, I just need to go through the motions. So it's not a periodic check, it is beyond the door, and that is, space beyond the door is, and we roll our 1d20. So we'll get our d20 out. What I need to do is actually buy a smaller, you know, I've got my dice tray, and it is a great dice tray, I really like it, but it's just enormous, and I just keep on, you know, maybe we just do it for this one, and don't really want to do it on the Dungeon Master's guide. Here we get a 6. Okay, so we've got a 6. What does a 6 mean in old money? 6 is passage straight ahead. So what we do is we do a 30-foot passage, and then once we've got to the end of that, we have to do a periodic check. Okay, so passage straight ahead. We also do the theme dice. So we'll do a theme dice in black, and we'll do an atmosphere dice in red. So let's roll those at the same time. So ordinarily it'd be a 30-foot passage, but just hold that thought just now. Wow, we've come up with the bonanza on. So what does that mean? What does that mean for our characters? Well, I will tell you. I'll get my theme notes out. Get to the relevant sticky page. Here we go. The temple rule modifications. So, if I get a 5 or 6 on the theme dice, I consult this table. If I get a 5 or a 6 on the atmosphere dice, I consult this table. However, we'll do the theme table in priority, because if we get a temple room, that will dictate what type of atmosphere potentially we get to do. So let's do the theme table first. We'll do a 1 to 6, and we'll see what happens with our theme. So we get a 3, and that's a temple room. So, okay, that's a good start. That means that we consult the temple room subtable. So here we have a temple room table. So the temple rooms, the base description will provide items, ideas, but also roll additional dressing items on tables appropriate to the room. There will be a minimum of 20 by 20 feet. So what we do is we still roll as if it's a room for the size. What we're saying is a minimum of 20 by 20 feet. So we're not going to have any tiny little 10 foot. This is going to be the minimum of 20 by 20. We have a theme. So why don't we roll the size of it first, just to get it. So we know that we're going into a room. So if we're going to do a chamber and room shape and size, we roll on this table here. So let's get our D20 out. And again, if I am just slow and methodical, I will be able to cover all the bases, and I won't have to come back in the next episode and say, oh, I forgot that step and I should have done that. So if I get a 16 means on the table, it's rectangular. If it's a room, yes, it is a room, it's not a chamber. Rectangular, 30 by 40. So 30 wide and 40 deep. Or are we going to do the other way around? Are we going to go, so I would say predominant is wide. So 1 to 3, it's wide. Otherwise, it's the other way around. So it's 40 wide and 30 deep. So yeah, is it going to go skewed off to the side, this side, or this side? Let's go 1 to 3 is this side. Yes, it is. So let's just draw this room in. So 40 foot wide, 30 foot deep. And Lindris has miraculously got this extraordinary accuracy now. He goes, wow, this new parchment I'm using, it's got these very subtle lines, although he's not really maybe giving in, letting them know that too much, which seems to be able to give me the ability to produce a precision drawing. And they go, wow, you've done a great job here. So we haven't actually mapped that out yet, but let's find out what exits we have. So the number of exits, again, we roll a D20. We get a 5. A 5 on this, it's over 600. Yeah. So we've got 3 exits, exit location. So our first exit location is 14, which is the right wall. So we'll just do 1 to 3. That is here. So we have an exit here. That's our first exit. We have our next one, which is 15, and that is, yeah, that's the right wall again. So it's going to be one of these two. So 1 to 3, it's the middle one. No, it's this one. So we have, so that's our 2 exits. We've got one more exit to map. Where's that going to be? That's a 15. Is that? I think I'll use the shaker, because that was a bit of a strange roll. So that's a 9 on with the shaker. The shaker says left wall. So is it going to be 1, 2? No, it's the top one. So top left. Okay. So that's all our exits. We've done all our stuff on the room. So let's find out from our theme table, what is the theme of this place? So we roll a D6. So drum roll, first use of our atmospheric themed modifications. What's it going to be? Sacrificial and ritualistic. These rooms are primarily for bloodletting, dark communion, or summoning entities. Oh dear. Includes altars, drainage channels, restraint devices, and symbols relating to offerings. So we're going to have, for dressing, we're going to have religious, 1d3, torture, Yes, the famous torture dressing, 1d3. Also, I have been thinking if we can potentially marry this up. There is an intriguing table in the when it comes to dressing, dungeon dressing. Let's get to the offending area. That's after all these summaries of monsters. Yeah, it is features. It's not features. It is, yeah, this table here called chamber, room, and other space list. And I thought it might be quite interesting to scan through this and see whether we can basically match it up with anything in here with the theme. So what we're saying is that these rooms are primarily for bloodlet. So basically it's sacrifice and rituals. So what would be, it's not going to be that, barracks, bedroom, bestiary, cell, cistern, closet, conjuring, corridor, crypt, dining, divination, gallery, game room, hall, harem, kennel, laboratory. It could be a kind of laboratory, couldn't it? Yeah, it could be pen, prison, privy, refectory, robing room, salon, shrine. Well, it's got a kind of shrine maybe element to it. Storage, strong room, study, throne room, torture chamber. Yes, it's probably got a bit of a torture chamber vibe. Trophy room. Yeah, I still think maybe this is just designed for sacrificing. I think we'll go for a sacrificial chamber. That sounds really good to me. So if we get our key out, level 1 key, and this is room number 1, we've got a sacrificial chamber. We've discovered a sacrificial chamber. It is 40 by 30. We also need to, before we do anything, I think we need to determine is it occupied or not, because before we do any detail, there might be about 20 hobgoblins, for example, just drumming their fingers, saying, "Come on, Brian, you're gonna have to get through this checklist a bit faster if you're gonna, get on point." So let's just do that first, and then we can do all the dressing stuff. We can do all the atmosphere. And I suppose we can give ourselves a bit of a break because this is the first time we've done it. So chamber or room contents, and a 1 to 12 is going to be empty. Otherwise, we have something on the go. So what are we going to get for the contents? So we get a 5. It is empty. So we can take as much time as we want. The characters don't know that, but we as solo players can go, phew. We can take a bit of time. So if I just get back to my master sheet, it's a sacrificial chamber. On my thematic list, it said on this little table, it said we're going to have altars, we're going to have drainage channels, we're going to have restraint devices. So I would say that there's probably going to be quite a few drainage channels in the floor with maybe a central altar. So we can maybe put that down. We'll have a central altar and drainage channels. It's a horrible room. This dressing might make it even worse. And remember, we've also rolled up an atmosphere. So we're going to have sound effects and maybe smells as well. So this could really be, we could have really hit the jackpot with sensory stimuli. We've got religious 1d3 and torture 1d3. So on the religious dressing, we'll roll this dice. Religious, we've got 1 item, R1. The wages there. And on the torture, we have got Oh, we've got, yeah, we really want to go in for the torture, so we're going to have 3 items of torture. Torture 3. And we'll just do the atmosphere as well just now, just to see what we've got coming that way. And on, so on the dressing, on our atmosphere, we've got, we'll roll a d6. Let's see what we get with this. That's a 5. So that is a combination of 2. So we'll just do 1 to 4 for selections. So a combination of 3 air and 1 air current. Okay, so we'll commit that to memory and we'll come back and revisit that. So on the religious side, and remember, the whole point of doing this is to try to build up a bit of, I might conjure up something that is of interest and just kind of spark something with me. We've already got an altar. We've got some drainage channels. So the characters are probably, as they map this out, they're figuring out that this is being used for rather nefarious purposes, rather dubious purposes. They've got a very, very bad feeling about the purpose. It has lawful evil written all over it. So on the religious articles and furnishings, we'll get our D20 out. No, sorry, our D100. Oh, 100. Yeah, you don't often see that come up. So 100 is a whistle. All right. So maybe the whistle is employed when, when it's time out. I've done enough torturing. Blow this whistle when it's enough. I don't think that would really work. So there's a whistle. And then we have 3 torture items. So let's see what these are. And this is where I'm going to have to come up with some ideas, or try to get some explanations of what these things are. 71. 71 is a stool. So that's a stool. It's a bit innocuous. You just can't, as soon as it's got a torture connotation, you just think of the connotations of a stool being used for torture. Do they place them over someone's neck, or do they use the feet, poke into their face? I don't know. 2022 is a cage. Right, now we're talking. This is all about, yeah, there's the cage. Yeah. So they must have their victims in a cage ready for sacrifice. Oh, it's really getting quite awful. We've got a 29 and a 29 crescents. What on earth are crescents? I don't know what crescents are. I'm going to have to look that up. I'll come back to it. I don't really know what crescents are. Yeah, this is the thing about Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I think Gary Gygax, I think he must have swallowed a dictionary, because some of the language, across the Atlantic divide, some of these words, they really are very flowery, and it's quite Shakespearean. Some of this stuff that's in here. And crescents, well, we're going to find it. If it had been clamps or fetters, maybe it has got something to do with that. Maybe it's some sort of restraining device, a crescent. I am going to look that up. That sounds quite tantalizing. So the cage is an absolute giveaway. The whistle is a bit strange. We could maybe read something into that. That's what we're going to do on the atmosphere side. We've got an air and we've got air current going on. So let's just give the whole picture to this place and give it the full treatment. And then maybe I can just summarize. So we rolled air first, so let's roll a D100. We get a 73, so it's foggy. All right, so we've got this kind of foggy atmosphere. Foggy. So the air is foggy or steamy. So I'll put or steamy. It's probably going to be more foggy, I would say. Steamy has maybe got some sort of heat source, or is there a heat source? Let's find out what the air current is, and we'll roll for that too. We get a 60. 60 is still. So that's quite sinister in itself. So we've got, it's probably, say it's going to be foggy. So there's this kind of foggy atmosphere. We see in, probably in the gloom. Let's get back to our little map and see if we can actually start building up the atmosphere in here. So in the gloom, we can see an altar, a central altar in the center. There's drainage channels, probably going crisscrossing the floor. Just to the side, to the left of our door as we come in, there's the atmosphere is full of this foggy, steamy air. It probably smells as though it hasn't been disturbed for 170 years. It's got that age about it. There's 3 ancient doors, seized, probably quite seized up with the atmosphere. They might be quite difficult to push. There's a stool that has been on its side there. There is in this corner. There's this cage. And we're going, oh my goodness! It's all very Hannibal Lecter. A little Hannibal Lecter cage in the corner there, and then crescents. Well, we've got to find. We'll maybe have the crescents. I'll just put a little zigzag over there. There's some crescents lurking over there, and we proceed with our mapping. So Lindra says, right, okay, let's do this nice and slow. This is going to take me 1, 2, 3 turns to map that. Okay, so we go. Okay, you carry on, Lindris, and while we're doing that. That's 1, 2, 3, 5. So we're into rest period, and while we're doing that, we find on the floor, nestled under some dirt, a whistle, and we go, oh my goodness, what's this? This looks like some religious device. Dagobert, any ideas? And he goes, oh, I don't like it. It's got, look at it. It's got incantations scored on the side. It is in that awful dark tongue of lawful evil. Keep it away from me. Someone else touch it. So Adelind, who doesn't really care about these things, and she says, oh, come on, Dagobert, pull yourself together. She's neutral. She doesn't really ascribe to any religion at all. She's got this rather, she just drifts through life with no real kind of no sense of consequence or whatever. She's just thinks, well, you're here and then you're gone and that's it. She's probably quite similar to a modern atheist. She says, right, okay, we're going to have to maybe do a bit of an analysis on this, and we can maybe do that in our rest period. So with our rest period's coming up, we go, ooh, we're a bit tired after all this. My goodness, there was a lot of stuff going in here. I don't really like this foggy atmosphere. Maybe what's happening now is because the door's open, the foggy atmosphere is coming out, and there is maybe a slight breeze coming down. And it's wafting into here, and it's it's gradually lifting. We've been in here for what? That's 30, probably about 30 minutes doing the mapping, and then another 10 minutes. So we're in for quite a while. So we do feel that the atmosphere is starting to lift a bit. We've got the light in here. We've got Dark Slayer giving out some light. We have to do our wandering monster check. So. We have our rest period. We get our 1d10 out. We are faced with a wandering monster check. So what are we going to get? Oh dear. So I'm going to have to leave this episode on a cliffhanger. it looks like, which sometimes is quite good, because what I can do is I can do a bit of prep and give a wee bit of sparkle to. I may actually mention this in, one of the things I've done is decide to succumb to my weaknesses and go back to my roots, my first dalliance with the role-playing hobby, and decide to do a Holmes basic D&D solo campaign. Yes, there's a hush silence. And they say, "Oh, come on, Brian, you graduated to AD&D, you're at university, it's like going back to school." And I said, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to just, inner child, live out, and but do it with as if take it. This is what you should do with children. You should always take them seriously. Sometimes if you speak to them as adults, they can sometimes surprise you. So I'm going to do exactly the same with Holmes. I'm going to treat it like an absolute adult, and we're going to have a serious, straight-on campaign, and I'm going to see what I can do with the old rule system and give it lots of respect. And but I think what I was trying to say with it, and I think I've completely lost my thread, was that what was it? No, I have lost my thread on it. I will come back to that. But basically, I wanted to say that I've done Holmes, and it's like I'm trying to. I'm going to have to try and find out exactly what I said on it. Let's find out what the occupant of this is. And again, I don't have the facility to go back and take out my bloopers, because I've really just had a complete mental blank. And that's what happens when you just start to ramble and stuff, and you think you kind of lose the thread of where you were in the first place. It might come to me and I suddenly have a kind of revelation. But matter in hand, what we do is we substitute the DMG tables for these specific tables for both occupants and wandering monsters. Refer to the DMG for the numbers and the effective monster level and cap based on my formula. So we have a 1d10. What is going to be wandering in and disturbing us while we are trying to work out what cressets are and what this whistle does? Let's get our d10 on the go. So we have a 6. We have them at last. We have the goblins. What are the goblins doing? I have probably got a table. I have a table to say what are wandering monsters doing. But I could also have a rule of 4 on them and say, why are they wandering around? So we have got goblins. Shall we work out all the little stats first? I think we should. I should get my pad out. Get my spare sheet. Spare sheet on pad. We have got goblins. And the Dungeon Master's Guide says on Appendix A, if you do this, we will do the level as well that we're going to determine on. So 1 to 16 they're going to be equivalent to level 1. So let's do that first. Yes, so they're going to be the minimum. So goblins on this table are 6 to 15. So that is a D10 plus 5, isn't it? Yeah, a D10 plus 5 is the numbers. So a D10. We have 7 plus 5 is 12. So we have 12 goblins. Our cap is that we have 5 first level characters, 5 level 1 characters. We multiply that by 2, that equals 10. We are on level 2, so that is our cap, because we're on level 1, and then these level 1 monsters. So we'll reduce that by 2. We can have 10 goblins fighting against us. That's how that works. It was quite simple. So we're going to have 10 goblins lined up against us for us to have a combat. And it's probably quite a good juncture to stop here, because we can just consider just exactly what's happened in this episode. You know, it might appear that it took a long time to do this and whatever. It is the first time I've done it. We did have the works. We had a lot of we had a temple room, and we also had some atmosphere. We had quite a lot of things inside. We have a wandering monster that's kind of complicated things. But hopefully you maybe get a flavour that if we are exploring around this temple and we come across these type of things, we can maybe just go to town on it, and it's almost as if we were exploring it, and this was a big part of the game. Because, that was quite, it depends on how you look at it, whether you thought that was interesting or not. I found that quite interesting. I was finding out a lot about that room. If that had just been us doing Appendix A vanilla, I would have just said, oh, we've got a 40 by 30 room, it's empty, move on. Whereas I've had a whole little story here. I've got this basically a sacrificial chamber. It's got drainage channels. It's got this altar there. It's got this cage in a corner. My goodness, what's going on? We've got a whistle and a stool. There's a whole story there that's just waiting to be told. And it's whether you think, well, is the time trade-off? Is it worth it to go into that? I don't think I would be doing this on every single instance, but I think for our first few, I think we should really just immerse ourselves in that and just see. And remember, we are solo players, so we have as much time. Time should not be an issue. Okay, right. I'm going to call it a day just now. I'm going to prep the characters. We're going to do the old surprise roll, see whether we were surprised. We are sitting there recovering. And Arian is probably got the radar sensors going. He's got his ranger ability. He might be able to hear their little goblin footsteps, or maybe they're doing the march thing. They kind of march. They're quite organized. We'll have to work out what this little band's up to, what their motivation is, why are they here? Are they patrolling? Are they reconnoitering? Are they doing something? What is their motivation? Okay. There was one last thing I wanted to talk about, was just a quick shout out. There is another channel that I think a chap started up just on the back of mine. And I thought I'd give him a bit of a shout out. And I think there's people that have helped me expand the channel when I was starting. I really appreciated it. So he's running an AD&D solo game. It's called No Regret in Ket, and he's called the Lonesome Adventurer. He's trying to grow his channel, and he's very enthusiastic. He's got quite an interesting campaign growing. I've been following it. It's quite an exotic environment. He's got a far more Eastern influence, which is, really is quite a dynamic thing. It's got more kind of, it's almost like a Arabian Nights kind of feel to it, which is really quite refreshing. So I'm going to put the links to him in my, and I think that's, I'm trying to it sounds a bit grandiose. I'm trying to help smaller channels grow, but unfortunately I've got this a bit of a tag now that I can't really get away from it. I'm 1,000 plus, so I'd classify that I'm getting into a larger size. Obviously, some channels are absolutely enormous, but I suppose in kind of role-playing terms, specifically solo role-playing, I've got a very niche type of channel. I'm really quite pleased with where I've got to. So I thought, yeah, I'm gonna help the Lonesome Adventurer out. No Regret in Ket. Watch it, enjoy it, and also please come back and catch up with our adventurers and see how they, as a group, they deal with 10 goblins. We're going to have to see if we can have a bit of variety in the combat. We're going to see if we can get a bit of nuance going So maybe some tactics on the go. I have been hinting at that. Let's just see how that pans out in our, almost like our stadium. You see, jumps in the cage, jumps on top of the cage. Maybe the whistle will be employed. The stool definitely will be fending off the goblins with our stool. That's all that atmospheric stuff. It's really, will they be able to see us in the fog? It's that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think I'm starting to rant now. I'm just going off on a tangent. I wish I had remembered what that thing I had forgotten about, but I think the trouble is, we're getting a bit of a heat wave in Scotland just now. I know you got to, maybe I'll give you 5 minutes to stand up again. But yeah, the temperature is really quite high, and I can't open my window because there's a yappy dog that lives next door, and all you can hear is this yappy dog if I do. So I think I'm almost suffering from a heat exposure, and it's making me carry on. So I'm gonna have to stop now, and I will. I'm just saying thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.